Tonight's guest is Lyal Strickland. He is an American singer-songwriter whose music is as which it hails. With a background deeply embedded in the rural landscape of Missouri, his lyrics resonate with the experience of small town, weaving tales of struggle, resilience, and the unyielding human spirit. Strickland's hardships are a reflection of his upbringing in a small town, where the values and hardships of rural life imbue every note and word. Ladies and gentlemen, Lyal Strickland and Mike Smith.
All right. Thanks for coming here tonight, folks. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Mike Smith with KSMU Radio and a member of the board here at the Music Monday of the Ozarks Association. And we're pleased tonight, very, very excited to bring Lyal Strickland onto the stage tonight. And a Facebook post that I put up on the Music Monday Facebook page and my own, I described Lyal as a singer, songwriter, and gentleman farmer. And we're going to find out more about some of this tonight. But one of the biggest things about Lyal that I've discovered through great help from his mom sending some biography to me. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. He's a heck of a storyteller. Yeah.
Is that what it is? That's what I do?
Yeah, heck of a storyteller through his music. So, Ozarks Americana, he's on Americana charts. Got some albums that have been out with some surprising folks that you might find surprising that he's worked with here. Folks that you all know that he's worked with for many, many years. But Lyal, thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a cool thing.
Your storytelling is, again, a thing I want to sort of focus on. The stories that I've been following while listening to your tunes. Small town is a big theme, and diminishing small towns. Hard work, family, relationships, all that stuff. And you've been writing music since not long after you got your first clarinet at the age of...
Yeah, probably 11, 12, something like that. It was the sixth grade band. And at some point my mom told me that I could either keep taking or keep playing clarinet, or I could take bass guitar lessons. And it was a no-brainer. On that front.
Yeah,
so
no-brainer.
Not Leon Redbone's the only clarinet player that I know of that is cool enough to overcome that,
Benny Goodman, man.
Oh yeah. All right.
Benny Goodman.
That's fair. Okay.
Okay, we got you
Take
there.
it back, yeah.
But yeah, you moved on to a bass, and there's a story behind the acquisition of that bass, is there not?
Well, say that again. Which one?
You had a story about that first bass from Sounds Great.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I've got every instrument's got stories.
Oh,
right? So,
yeah, of course.
It's like which bass are we talking about here?
Every instrument. You betcha. That's a great thing to say.
I think my mom bought it when they were closing out their instruments and just going to sound, it was a fire engine red. It's like everything a 12-year-old wants in a guitar. It's flashy. It's great.
And we might find interest in your first teacher. I think a lot of folks know your first teacher of that instrument too.
Kevin Brashears was with the Mistakes, and later Mickey Gilley and quite a few people. But yeah, Kevin was he was killer. Couldn't ask for a better mentor person. He was awesome. Yeah.
What did you find in him too, besides your lesson when you kind of hung around Kevin Brashear? What was that like? And
I mean, I just his passion and fervor for music was intoxicating. I mean, it was always about music and what you could draw from it and how you could utilize it, and it wasn't, here's how to play this song, go join a band, and so his whole thing was like, we're going to teach you how to play, and I think the first 6 months were like tapping your foot, which was frustrating as a 12-year-old, but but man, once you got the foot tapping going on, we moved on to some fun stuff. But it taught me a lot about like laying the basics, laying the foundation for stuff.
Did you get exposure to the mistakes at that age?
No, I had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
They were when I he had posters up in his house and everything, but all I knew is he was like in a band and had wild hair.
How many out there know Kevin Brashear? Yeah, quite a few.
Great dude.
Yeah, great dude. Now, you've toured nationally here fairly recently.
Yeah. I've taken a break over the last few years, but yeah, I got. I used to spend about 10 months out of the year on the road, kind of all across the country. Not too much west of Denver, probably, but pretty much everything east of there. I've been kicked out of places and made unwelcome. But,
haven't we all? Haven't we all? Well, I can get back to that a little bit later on, but if we go chronologically down to your instrumentation and your career, at age 13, you picked up an acoustic guitar from Grandma.
Yeah, it was an old Con like student guitar, nylon, classical. It was not a great guitar, but that's the ideal. Is not having a good instrument. I think when you start out, I had my grandfather bought me an Ibanez when I was probably 14 or so, and I played that thing for like 3 or 4 years. And I always, I was cocky. I was a teenager, right? So you'd be playing in song circles and stuff, and give me your guitar, and no one could play my guitar, and I just thought I was awesome. I was like, I can play my guitar. What do you mean you can't push this? You can't push the strings down. What do you mean? I took it over. I bought it over at Morgan Music, and I took it in like 4 years later. To get it worked on, to look at the action. And at the 12th fret, the string was about 1.5 centimeters off the fretboard. Yeah. And they go, this is wrong. And they sent me a whole new one, a brand new one. And then I got that one. I was like, oh, this is way better. So I should have been playing this. But consequently, I can't hardly play electric because I bend the strings out of tune. So
what does the number 413 mean to you?
Well, I mean, it was my band in middle school, in high school. You got Mom did send you. She sent you way back. Yeah, I mean, it was. We were 13. There's 4 of us. My grandma's VCR was broken and flashing 413 for weeks on end, and we just thought it'd be a good name. And
who was in that with you? Who was in the band with you there?
Let's see. Started out with a guy named Dylan Davison and Aaron Haley and a guy named Jeffrey Lilly, whose uncle is Ron Block with Union Station.
Yeah.
And
great banjo player, guitar player.
Yeah. And at the time, Jeffrey couldn't play anything. He was not good.
No.
I think he got better, and he was a good dude. But I remember thinking like his uncle's Ron Block. We should keep him in the band. Wow. Just keep him in the band. But
yeah, well, and if you remember, Ron Block was in the band Weary Hearts when they came here for the Ozark House Concert Series way back when.
Yeah, I mean he's insane.
Yeah, he's
and I mean I don't want to throw Jeff under the bus too much. Our drummer also bought his guitar or his drum set from like a Sears catalog or something too. So it was like I remember one point John Dillon. I think for my I don't know what birthday it was, maybe the 15th birthday or something like that. All I wanted to do, what was it? 14th birthday. That's my mom. All I wanted to do for my 14th birthday was have band practice, and John Dillon was out there. He's buddies with my stepdad, and I remember him like trying to teach this kid how to like just play a basic rock beat on the drums, and significantly improved the sound of our band.
Now let's orientate ourselves here.
Yeah.
What town are you in during this period
Buffalo.
of time?
I'm
Buffalo, Mo.
Buffalo, born and raised, minus the 4 years that I went to Missouri State for the film degree that I don't use, and I lived out in Turner's during that period.
Oh, okay. Well, at the age of 14, you were playing, well, it may be been at 13 too, but I've learned that he had a gig, your first gig, paying gig maybe, at a cashew chicken place in Ozark, Missouri.
It was, the Panda Palace. I played for 2 or 3 hours, I think, for tips and a free buffet. It was a cashew chicken joint. I remember they had pasta and Mexican on the buffet as well, and barbecue on certain weekends.
Yeah.
And
so when you got paid with food, what was your choice of meal there, buddy?
the orange chicken, and I got pretty in tight with the waitress, who every couple weeks would say, she'd come up after the show and say, hey, do you want the chocolate pudding? And I was like, I do. She goes, okay, well, it's about frozen solid, and we haven't changed it in 2 weeks, so it's time to change it. So I get this frozen block of chocolate pudding. This is why I always tell like kids. I just saw Drew Biney over at Earth Day Festival, and his kids starting to play, and he was like, "You got any advice for him?" And I was like, "Don't run far away. The perks are great, but you'll get tempted by the chocolate pudding."
That sounds like a song title too for the future. Okay, so you're playing in public after the cashew chicken place. One of your other first gigs was to help the Gilloy's Theater in its renovation.
Yeah, and I do have to say with the Panda Palace thing, so I started writing pretty quick. Like after I got started playing bass, because my mom told me that's where the only chance of making anything was in writing. And so I only knew like 7 songs. I played 7 songs on repeat for 3 hours, over and over again. But yeah, the Gilloy's, I had the opportunity to play there when they're like, it was like, I think they had to maybe remove some tents right before I had gotten in there or something. It was pretty ramshackle in there. It was like pretty rough. But
well, your efforts helped make it what it is today. Just a really beautiful place to be. But what does a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old write about?
Girls. I mean, there's nothing. That's why I gave up the clarinet, and that's that's all you write about. That's what it's for. I do remember the first cover song I ever learned was When You Say Nothing at All, and it was because I was going to student council camp in Fulton, Missouri, and I had about a month before discovered that the ratio of girls to guys was about 12-1, and I figured if I had a guitar I could up that percentage a little bit. But it's funny, how why you get into things, and then it just sort of takes over at some point, just oozes over you. Yeah, we'll get to that storytelling here also. One of his early high school guitar teachers is Dave Painter. So you were making trips up here to Springfield? Thanks to Mom? My mom, the Panda Palace thing, not to keep going back to that.
And Ozark to Buffalo, that's quite
Ozark
a
to
trip.
Buffalo every Friday night. And every Tuesday out to Nixa, I think is where Kevin lived at the time. And then moved to guitar, and Dave, up on Weller Street.
Oh, at the time, yeah.
And so she drove me all over the place. I think I drove Dave nuts because, guitar teachers, I feel like a lot of times you come in and you learn, a certain song, or like I got to learn this solo from this song, and I would just go into Dave's and be like, "How do you play blues? How do you play reggae?" Just very broad, vague questions. Yeah,
Making you think.
I think I drove him crazy, but yeah, he was a great teacher though.
Yeah, he is a great guitarist and a great guy, just all around great guy. Let's see here. You've worked in recording some of the stuff you wrote, and probably some covers as well with Ralph Plank for three or four projects, 2 or 3 projects.
Yeah. So my mom used to do some voice work with Ralph, and at the time I was under the cocky impression that if a lyric wasn't if you didn't memorize a lyric when you wrote it, it probably wasn't that good. And so I just memorized all my songs. I didn't have anything written down, and I started losing them after about 40 songs or so. I just started forgetting that I'd written stuff. And so the first project over at Ralph's was just, can you turn a mic on and let me just get this down so that I can remember that I wrote it, you know. But yeah, I did a album with him when I was sophomore, I think, in high school. Sophomore, and then junior and senior. I did 3 albums of original stuff in high school with Ralph.
Now, who are you listening to during all these years of growth? Musical growth.
Yeah, I just started with rock and stuff that my buddies were listening to. Country was like the furthest thing from my mom, from my mind, because my grandmother was a huge Hank Williams fan, and my probably biggest musical regret is that she didn't get to see my now love of country music, because at the time I was I wanted to be in a rock band, and she was just always trying to get me to play Hank Williams, but I was into rock, ska, punk stuff, and then my stepdad, Bob Bryant, got me a Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits, as cliche as that is. Wow. And I thought, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. This is terrible. But I knew the songs, and I was like, well, I mean, that is a famous song. I do like that. And I remember listening to it while mowing the lawn. And it was about the 3rd time through that I was like, oh, this is awesome. I love this. And that sent me on a long folk dive. Still to this day, by the way, every single Bob Dylan record that I've ever had, I think is the worst thing ever recorded for the first 4 times I play it through. It's terrible. And then it just grows on you. It's like a worm, you know.
Well, to me, I mean, your writing had to be influenced by him.
Yeah, I got real into Blood on the Tracks was a big influence. Mm-hmm. But then I went down to Kingston Trio and Phil Oakes and all those boys. It was I was actually just a couple days ago with my wife, and she has zero musical knowledge, which I think is why we're still married. She hasn't discovered it yet. She's like, oh, he's good. It's fine. But we were listening to some Phil Oakes on the way to a show the other night, and I was like, yeah, this is what I used to blast out in the high school parking lot, when everyone else is playing Slipknot and Pantera. I've just got my windows down in my 93 Grand Prix blasting Love Me Like a Liberal, It's great. So it was almost a self-fulfilling thing, I think. I looking back on it, might have ostracized myself from my peer group somewhat self-intentionally. So.
Let me check the time here. You're working a farm too while all of this is going on. You're working on the farm.
Well, not till later. So I used to run.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to work with my great granddad and my great uncle and my grandpa on the farm, doing like we do in the Ozarks, where it's you're 8, it's time to drive a truck, right? It's like, go for it, put it in first, keep it in first. But once I started playing, bass and guitar and stuff and writing songs, they pretty much were would not allow me around the cattle for fear that I'd break a finger or something. so then I stepped away from it, and then in college I got back to it. I just, I had every intention in high school of leaving the city limits as fast as possible, but I made it to Springfield, so I got out pretty far, and just found myself driving out into the country to smell fresh cut hay, which I'm allergic to. So it was a sacrifice,
And lately you're working a farm nowadays.
Yeah. So the kind of thing was my grandfather was failing in health, and several family members had passed on by that point. And when someone dies, you know what. Growing up, but people aren't going to be there forever. I should spend more time with this person before I don't have the opportunity to. But and you think you're doing better. Someone kicks off, and you go, next time I'm going to visit them more. Next time I'm going to get that other story. And it's just never enough. And so my granddad was kind of the last one of the bunch. And so the thought process was that I would move in and kind of take care of him, sort of learn the ropes on the farm, kind of keep the farm together, keep it rolling, and then I could go out on the weekends and play music. But he passed away right before I was out of college, so I was like taking my finals and herding cattle off the road because the fences were bad and doing the whole thing. But yeah, we're still doing it though. Still kept it together. Still got cows, and yeah.
So what do you do? You send them to market and all that stuff?
Yeah, I have musician's luck with that stuff. So seems like no matter what week I take him to the sale barn, it's always the bad week to go. But I don't know. It's been quite a thing. My granddad left me with about $10,000 to run the farm, and at the time there's about probably 900 acres or so, but not that many cattle, maybe 40, 50 head of cattle, but not a stitch of fence was worth anything. No running tractors, no running trucks. I was like, my mom was out there with me the first couple of years, like with hay hooks, rolling those big round bales out into the field by hand, and trying to talk the hay guys into like, well, can you put this load in this field and this load in this field, and so we don't have to roll them out quite so far. It's been rough, but I've always had a roof over my head, and I've had beef in the freezer, and for a songwriter, that's more than most of us have, I think. So
well, and it's also good fodder for lyrics as well, I would assume.
Yeah. There's a few songs in there. Yeah.
Getting back to the music, another name I'm tossing out that you've worked with on a project is Larry Lee of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
Yeah, Larry. I say produced, but pretty much, he just orchestrated and did the whole thing for I think three or four albums ago. It was a while back. It was right after he moved back from Nashville. We kept most of it in this place where he was up at the time. I don't know where he is now, down on the Finley. But
high strung and well fed. And So Many Incidents.
Yeah. So Many Incidents was the one that Larry did.
Okay.
Well Fed and High Strung. We did a live show at Dave Harp's old music store, and then bookstore downtown. That's no longer there, but it was a cool place.
Yeah. Talk about Larry and another couple, Steve Cash and John Dillon also. You worked with Larry on that project there. But recently, the album Preservation.
Preservation.
Preservation. And you've got some great songs, and one of my favorites there is the first cut on that, Hotel Maid, and a song about telling a story, come on. And the one that follows it, I can't think of the title.
It's a minimum wage or Gone for a Weekend.
Gone for a Weekend, maybe. That's heavy on what I like is that it's a country sound, and there's a lot of steel guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's playing the steel guitar?
Well, so the album before that, I was able to pull in like a lot of local heroes of mine, because the Ozarks just full of talent, as you all well know.
That's why we're here.
And one of the nice things about being a solo artist is that when it comes time to cut a record, I don't have a band that I have to hurt someone's feelings that they're not that good, right? I just go, well, hey, let's get the best. Let's get this guy in there. That sounds good. And so I was kind of doing the same thing on Preservation, but I'd kind of narrowed down some boys that I wanted to have a cohesive sound throughout the whole album. But I needed a steel guitar, and at the time, steel guitar was not totally in fashion. It seems like it's come back in vogue now, which is great. It's a beautiful instrument. But this was 2015, I think, is when we were probably cutting it. And I didn't know a single steel player in Springfield that like was gigging actively. But circle was probably too small. I'm sure they were here, but I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I need a steel player. And she goes, well, I'm friends with this guy on Facebook. He plays steel. I don't know if he's any good or not, but his name's Robbie Turner. You can look him up, and if you think he's good, I'll give him a shout, and I'm bet I can probably get him to play steel on your record. So I'm like, all right, whatever, it's fine. Sure, I'll look him up. And I look him up, and he played with Waylon and the Highwaymen, and cut all the steel on Sturgill Simpson's records, and did stuff for Isbell. And at the time, he had cut all the steel for Chris Stapleton, and was playing with Chris Stapleton. And one of the things when we cut it, he was supposed to go play the CMAs with Chris Stapleton, and he goes, I ain't doing that. I ain't driving across town in that traffic. I was like, you're not going to just like, no, it's just the CMAs. No big deal. Why would you? I wouldn't either.
I'm glad he drove around to traffic to get the studio to join you for that one there.
I had to go to Nashville for that one. And he was more than willing to do it. My mom used to be a DJ back in Memphis in the late 70s, early 80s. And broke his first record. So he was more than happy to participate. But I will give you a little bit of Ozarks thing with it. As we went down there, I didn't want to spend the money on a hotel if I didn't have to, so we left super early, and we get down to Nashville, and he goes, well, I'm not feeling it today. Call me tomorrow. And I was like, well, I guess I'm getting a room. I guess I'm getting a really expensive room. I've never paid $300 for a Holiday Inn Express, but I guess I am tonight. And so we spend the night. He goes, call me in the morning. I call him about 10, 11 o'clock, and he goes, I don't know. My wrist is hurting. Give me 3 hours. Oh, man. So I call him in 3 hours, and he goes, all right, I'm feeling it. Let's do it. So I go to the guy's house. We get there, and he goes, I've locked myself out of the studio. My son's an hour and a half away. We got to wait for him to bring the key. So he gets the key. We go into the studio. He listens to the scratch tracks. He's like, yeah, all right, I'm in. Yeah, let's do this. Can you run me up to Hardee's and get a cheeseburger real quick? So we go to Hardee's. We got to stop at McDonald's on the way back because they have better Coke, apparently. We get back to the studio, and he's locked himself out of the studio again. And I was thinking, he was like, well, I don't know what to do. And I call a locksmith, and I'm like, I'm just thinking of the hotel bill again. I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I pulled my mom aside, and I was like, can you just chat with him a little bit over there? And she goes, yeah. She pulls him over, and they're talking about the old days and whatnot. And being from being from the Ozarks, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances who are into questionable habits. So I broke into his studio, just jimmied it open, which it was, to be fair, like I make it sound like I, do this all the time, but there wasn't a deadbolt, so it was fine. It was pretty easy to get in, but I was like, you ought to, if you're going to have people from the Ozarks, you should probably put a deadbolt on that. Like just, not everyone has ill intentions, but we know how, so.
Well, no wonder I like that steel so much. He sure had feeling. Yeah. One of the tunes I enjoyed listening to on Preservation was about a barber shop, and that started in *54, and it's called Clyde and His Clippers, and it's a really poignant tune.
Thanks. Yeah, that came from a song prompt. That we were supposed to write a song a week with a bunch of friends all across the country, and I hadn't participated in 6 months, and I just felt like a horrible person because of it. And I was in Cleveland, and it was the song prompt, the line. I just thought it was the dumbest line. I couldn't wrap my head around. The line was "Ghost on a Sidewalk," and I was like, this is not my style of writing. Like after the folk stuff, I heavily gravitated towards like old Texas songwriters, Guy Clark and Towns and all those folks. And so it felt, I don't know, it felt contrived and it wasn't my thing. But I played a show in Cleveland. It was terrible. It was winter. I went to a gas station, bought a taquito, dropped it in the parking lot, and had an existential moment of whether I was going to eat this taquito that was sitting in like oil-soaked ice, and I did, but it was a moment for sure. But I went back, and wrote that song about the barbershop in Buffalo on the square there, which I'd been to a few times with my granddad, and it's more a song about Walmart, and which is why I can't play in Bentonville very much. But there's we had a sewing shop, a fabric shop in Buffalo, and when the Walmart came in, we have the third smallest Walmart in the whole chain. So if ever you're somewhere and you're like, they have everything I need, the rest of it is in Buffalo, right? It's everything you don't need. It's all the off-season stuff. But we had a fabric shop in Buffalo. They opened up this tiny Walmart, and they put a fabric section in. And fabric shop went under, and then eventually the fabric department and the Buffalo Walmart moved to Bolivar. They took it out. It's not making enough money. Well, it was making enough money for the local folks, So that's kind of the whole sentiment of the song. Because the same thing happened with with the barbershops. They got a Great Clips over there, or something, Super Clips or something.
Yeah, you mentioned the lyric was the big box moved next door or something like that.
Yeah, lost his business when the big box came in.
Yeah,
didn't close her down, just took it on the chin.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a great story. Back to that again, I know we've talked about your mom, who has been so helpful and a driving force behind your career.
Yeah.
There's another lady that your mom told me about that also helped you out, Marla Calico.
Oh yeah. I've been, which I think, as I've gotten older, I've always been fairly introspective, but self-awareness is does not necessarily come naturally to my blood. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more self-aware, and I kind of look back and just think, my God, I have been very blessed to have very talented people give me a shot and trust me with things that they should not have trusted me with. And Marla was one of those at the Ozark Empire Fair. Yeah. For a couple of years there, she'd let me book a couple stages and run the stages, and I was like 19 or something. It was not not trustworthy at all. Still am barely trustworthy. I'm smart enough now to, when people ask me to do stuff, go, nope, I'm I'm not the guy for that. I'll help out where I can.
Well,
But-
she was. There's a reason why she was the general manager of the Ozark Empire Fair for so long, because she
Yeah.
had it together.
There were a few places: the Ozark Empire Fair in Marla, the library here in town, the folks with the Arts Council and Arts Fest, the Galois. There's just a lot of people that let me play shows when I had no business playing shows. My songs were not very good, was not a good performer, but I mean that's the only way you get better is like getting your chops up is by just doing the damn thing, so
Where can one find your music? I mean, we've talked about it, and that's what we do here is talk about the music. But
Yeah.
we want to hear you want to hear his music.
you can LyalStrickland.com is where you can find everything. I've got some vinyl out and CDs and whatnot. Got a new project coming out here in a little bit I'll mention, but other than that, streaming, all that stuff, Spotify, Pandora, and Apple Music. I don't know exactly how it works, but I think I pay you to listen to it. I think is how
that's how it
I think the payment structure works. I have a premium subscription to Spotify, which they've raised now, so I think I'm in the hole more.
You are paying.
But one month, I was like, you know what? I just want to see how this works out, and I listened to nothing but my album on repeat. On silent for an entire month, and it just barely covered my subscription.
Wow.
And I was like, for $10 a month, 24 hours a day for 30 days, it was like $10. So
Sounds like you got to get a good battery.
yeah, it was wild.
They're going.
So, but yeah, you can find it there, and it's a hard thing I think for artists these days because it doesn't pay like it used to when you sold CDs and vinyl and stuff like that, physical product. But it still helps. It's still very much important, because even if you're not getting paid, someone listening to your stuff gives you meaning to like write another song.
How many CDs do you have?
Oh, I've probably got about 7,000 stuck in the closet. Is that what you meant? No, so I did 3 in high school, and then I did Well Fed and High Strung, So Many Incidents, and then I did a cover album, and then Preservation, and then a handful of singles along the way. So.
Well, getting back to Preservation again, I mentioned the John Dillon and Steve Cash are doing "Let It Shine," "It'll Shine When It Shines." On that, that's the only one you didn't write.
Yeah, so I Balanced on Barbed Wire was kind of my album that I feel like I really honed in on who I am. The So Many Incidents that I did with Larry has a bunch of songs, but it's like, the title says it. It's like all over the board. There's some rock stuff, and it's just diverse. But there, at the end of So Many Incidents, there's a very country song. And I remember having Dave Wilson come in and lay down a jaw harp on it, which I didn't realize they came in keys, which is interesting.
Neither.
But a buddy of mine, he goes, "Man, I love that album except for that one last country song. I hate that song." And that was a moment that I was like, I think that's the stuff I'm going to do from now on, because I think that's what I'm going to do. So Balanced on Barbed Wire, and my buddy Jim's out there. I think he was with me when we heard this. We were on a fishing trip with John Dillon, and he played a song called 1949. Around, must have been close to midnight anyways. It's a better story if it's midnight, so it's midnight. Down in Bull Shoals, Buck Creek, and it's a song that he'd written a long time ago, I guess, and at the time he goes, the only recording that I know of this is on a reel-to-reel from a church that I recorded it at on a organ or something, between gigs. And it was just a killer song, so I put that on there. And so now I kind of have this thing where I try to do a cover of someone from the Ozarks, on each album. The last couple have been Dare's stuff, but there's so much good music from here and so many good songs that I feel like are just washed away and kind of unrecognized. And I mean, the Dares get quite a bit of accolades, right? I mean, they're pretty big. But there's so many bands that like just make it a little bit and then they break up or they don't play anymore, and those songs just kind of drift off. And it's just, I think it's important to champion those songs and those people.
Well, It'll Shine When It Shines is a great tune. And speaking of the Daredevils, the founding member of the Daredevils, Randall Chowning, who's sitting right here, joining us tonight, and a regular guest of Music Monday of the Ozarks as well.
I didn't recognize you, Randall. I have to be. I'll tell you this. I've got face blindness, and I have absolutely walked past my wife in a store and tipped my hat like she was a stranger. So please don't take offense. But
Told you it was a gentleman farmer. Yeah. Tip your hat to your own wife. Well, we have time for some questions, I think, unless anything you'd like to add that we haven't touched upon.
I don't think so. I mean, point in case, Randall and Melinda back there, and I mean, there's just so many. I'll say this: when I travel across the country, which I took a hiatus for about 8 years, where I was just kind of playing around the local state areas. I had a really bad year where my dad passed away and my girlfriend was not involved, I'll say. My dog, not involved with me. My dog died. I did a show with Ray Wiley Hubbard, which I was absolutely 100% sober for, and then went out with some friends in Austin and got drugged at a bar, and I just stopped. And came back to the Ozarks, sat in the woods, and looked for mushrooms for the last 8 years.
In the spring.
Morels. Mostly. Yeah, I'm back at it now. I've come to realize that I'm about 80% of a human if I'm not writing and performing, which is pretty good. Honest to God, I feel like 80% happy is pretty good. But you know this, once you've like felt when a song hits home, whether that's performing a song or writing a song, there's nothing like it. It's the best drug that there ever could be. And then piggybacking on that, what I was going to say is that when I was traveling around, I'd go to these cities and they go, "Oh, you play country music? Oh, we've got this really great country band. You got to come hear these guys. These guys are great." And I go hear them and I go, I mean, they're good, but like the thing about the Ozarks is someone's granddad plays better than you. And they're not wrong. Somebody's granddad 100% plays better than you. The talent here is incredible. So, yeah.
Well, I think you lead that as well. You're a member of that club, I think,
Thank you.
Lyal. Very much so. Questions for anyone that you have out there for Lyal? Yes, Melinda Mullins.
As the daughter of a songwriter, how about your girls? Do they like your music? Do they sing with you? Do they have any aspirations at the age of...
They do. I'll tell you a couple stories. First, I'll start with, it took me a long time after being married and then having kids to write honestly. I wrote a bunch of songs, a couple hundred songs over the last few years that are just trash. Not for Morgan Wallen. They'd be great for Morgan Wallen. So if you know somebody, I'll cash those checks all day. But they weren't me. They weren't my songs. And it's when you have something to lose, it's harder to bury yourself a little bit and think about, my daughters are going to read these lyrics. My wife's going to read these lyrics and wonder, who's this about? You know? Kind of thing. I went down to Texas and I finally kind of broke that a little bit and came out with some songs and an album that I'm really proud of. That said, one of those songs I wrote for my oldest daughter, because I thought I might die. I kind of put myself in not a great health position, I'll say, to kind of break through that. And right before I was done, I thought I need to write a song for my daughter just in case I kick off tonight, kind of thing. And so it's called My Darling Girl. And my favorite thing is she requested it today on the way to dance class, actually. And every time we get to the chorus, the hook is My Darling Girl, and she goes, "That's me." Every single time. The other thing I'll tell you about her is she's somewhat cantankerous, and she stole all my Lee Oscar harmonicas and my Hohner Rockets, which the Rockets now are $70-$80 a pop. And she calls them her Waka Wakas. And I was like, that's a lot of money that my 3-year-old at the time has stolen from me. So I got her a cheap set on Amazon for like $40 for like a whole set. And I was like, baby, I got you these like harmonicas. They're yours. You can have these and I'll take these back. And she's like, oh, that's great. She played with them for about 30 minutes. And then she came into the living room. She goes, Papa, Daddy, these Waka Wakas don't sound as good as my old Waka Wakas. You can have them back. And I was like, I don't know what's like. She's not wrong. They sounded like trash, but it was like $800.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So,
Well,
yeah.
the DNA is passing down, I think.
Who
Yeah.
were your biggest influences?
I mean, so, you know, Dylan broke me out of the rock stuff. Kingston Trio really moved me into, I don't know why they stuck with me so hard, but I just loved the sound. And now all I can think is right now is a Mighty Wind, which is a great movie. Yeah, Phil Oakes was a big one. I kind of moved off of the folk stuff, got into country, and I right now I've kind of gravitated solidly around Guy Clark is probably my number one. There's not a single thing he's written that I don't love. For songwriting, Dan Reeder is a guy that I've been just all over. I can't figure out if he's crazy or a genius or both. Really poignant lyrics and then stuff that I 100% would not play around my family. So it's very, very bizarre. But yeah, I'd say Texas stuff. So.
You got nominated for a Grammy, too. Well, how it worked.
Yeah, no, it wasn't nominated. I mean, it was in the first or second round of one of the stuff. But that's the thing. I mean, that stuff's not meaningless. But it definitely, it's not the same industry that, like Randall, it's not the same industry you were like king of, right? There's a lot of payola these days, and it's not a lot of it means anything. Yeah, that said, I mean, like, I still got an ego. I'd take a Grammy.
Well, to be considered is also pretty darn cool, yeah, in that round. Anybody else? All right, thank you all. Lyal Strickland, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.